and welcome you to Harold Brodberg's lecture. Harold is an elder law attorney who is also VA certified, who's been in practice over 20 years. And I know that you will find him not only extremely informative, but highly entertaining as far as speakers go. So without further ado, here's Harold Brodberg.
Thank you. Boy, you made a hard one for me. What if I'm not entertaining? What if I'm incredibly dry and boring? You know?
Then we'll really laugh.
You're the closest, we'll tell you.
Usually the closest get picked on. You get all the good, all the bad. But actually, I think you know already. Now that I think about it, I think you know exactly already. And it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. My name is Harold Brodberg. I'm an elder law attorney. I have offices throughout New Jersey. The closest one is not that close.
Bayonne.
Well, Clark is actually, it's hard to tell. From here, it could be Clark or Bayonne. It's very hard to say. But I'm very happy to be here today, and I also want to thank the Chelsea for inviting me. This is a beautiful facility. I've been to a lot of the different Chelseas, and I think this is the one that it seems to have the most recreational space I've ever seen, and it's really remarkably beautiful out here. And I think the people here, I've seen a lot of the patients, and we had some time, and everybody seems very happy. And behind us, they're having baking. And it's just my stomach. I did have oatmeal this morning, and my stomach is growling from the smell of that.
No, they made vanilla cupcakes.
Oh, it's that.
Blow your nose.
Oh God, that vanilla. That's so nice. That's so nice. Today we're going to talk about a special aspect of Medicaid, and the lecture is kind of builds upon itself. We're going to start slow and move on very quickly. I am from northern New Jersey. I was born in Bayonne. I've had 3 espressos so far today. So if I start talking too quickly, please interrupt me or come and try and slow me down. If you haven't heard something, please feel free to interrupt me. And if you have questions, I don't really mind if you ask them as we go along. We are being recorded today. But I really don't mind if you ask a question as we go along. If it's too personal, I'll ask you to hold it to the end. Okay? So, let's start at the beginning. What is Medicaid? Medicaid is far different than Medicare. Medicaid is an insurance program. It's a public benefit insurance program. And unlike Medicare, Medicaid pays for long-term in an assisted living facility or at home or in a nursing facility, and it pays for long-term care. Now, to be eligible for Medicaid, there are financial requirements. There's both asset eligibility, resource eligibility. You have to be below certain assets, and also income eligibility. One of the aspects of Medicaid we're not going to talk about today is the health care eligibility. You have to need a certain level of care to be eligible for Medicaid. But it's important to understand that, especially in an assisted living facility, because the standards in New Jersey to be eligible for Medicaid from a health standpoint in an assisted living facility are relatively strict. And I'm sure the folks from Chelsea will have me back one day so we can talk just about that. But today, we're talking about the income eligibility issue with Medicaid.
Can I just ask you, what you're talking about, is that in here? Or is that different?
The question is, what am I talking about? Is that in here? And absolutely everything I'm talking about is in here. And it was a perfect segue, and I thank you very much. Okay. Hey, you didn't say anything about the raffle.
I forgot. We could do that at the end.
Well, there's going to be, tell me about the raffle. We're going to be...
Whoever didn't put their name in the bucket, there's a bucket at the front desk because they will have a raffle.
Okay, and by the way, I'd have to say, because of that segue, you got a very good chance of winning the raffle, okay? So we're here talking about the income eligibility for Medicaid. Medicaid has what's known as an income cap, a limit on the amount of income a person can have before they're eligible for Medicaid. And this, in the last 20 plus years, has been a very big problem. So let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to the early 90s. In the early 90s, there was a lady, her last name was Miller, and she had income in excess of what's known as the Social Security income rate, which as of this year is $733 a month. Her income was greater than $733 a month, and the Medicaid program that paid for home care for her wouldn't allow her to get the Medicaid because her income was over $733 a month. And she had a smart lawyer. And her lawyer said, you know, if my client does what people do in nursing homes, which is pay their excess income to the nursing home, if my client does that and pays her excess income for her care to the home health agency that was paying for her care, she should be eligible for Medicaid. And the lawyer filed a case in federal court. And in the federal court, the lawyer argued, look, my client should be able to pay her income over $733 a month for her home care and be eligible for home care like she would if she was in a nursing home. And the federal court said, well, how do we know that she's actually gonna use that money over $733 a month for her home care? There's no assurance. We're not gonna, you're a lawyer, we're not gonna take you at your word. I mean, you're a lawyer, right? And the lawyer said, well, I got an idea. Why don't we let my client set up a trust? And a trust is a thing, it's an entity, it comes to life and it has rules. And one of the rules is, how do you spend the money in the trust? And the lawyer said, we'll make a rule in the trust, and the rule will say that every month my client has to take the money that puts her over $733, has to put it in the trust, and every month the trustee is going to use that money to pay for health care expenses, to pay the home care company that's providing care to her. And because the trust will require that, and there won't be any flexibility, she should then be eligible for Medicaid to pay for her home care benefits. And the court said, yeah, you're right, Mrs. Miller. You're absolutely right. And that's how we got the inception of what's known as the Miller Trust, which is what we're talking about today. And it was a wonderful thing, because before then, if your income was over $733 a month, and by the way, back in 1992, it was far less than that. It was like $500 and change. But if your income was over $733 a month, which is the current figure, you couldn't get home care for Medicaid. You had to go to a nursing home. And that wasn't too cool because most people don't want to be in nursing homes. Is there anybody in this room who wants to be in a nursing home? Okay. So the state of New Jersey said, great, we're going to allow Miller Trust. And they did so for about 2 years. 2 years. And then New Jersey established a second Medicaid program, and in that program, you could have 3 times the SSI rate, 3 times. They don't say it 3 times because that would be too understandable. They say 300 times the SSI rate, 300% of the SSI rate, and you could still be eligible for home care benefits under Medicaid. That was called the Medically Needy program. And that was fantastic because now more people could get Medicaid home care benefits, but not everyone could. And in fact, New Jersey is a great example of a state where we have a real problem with this. What is 3 times the current SSI rate? 3 times the current SSI rate right now is $2,199 a month. So if a person's fixed income was below $2,199 a month, they could get home care benefits through Medicaid. And if it wasn't, they couldn't. And, you know, I have plenty of clients who were firemen, who are policemen, who are teachers, and between their Social Security and their pensions, there was no way their income was going to be below $2,199 a month. You know, I was thinking about this last night. We live in New Jersey. We have one of the highest costs of living. Because we have such a high cost of living, we have higher salaries. And because we have higher salaries, we have fewer people whose income fall below that income limit. And that is not based on your region, that $2,199 a month. It's across the board in the United States of America. So it was a big problem in New Jersey, and what happened was, because the state enacted this second Medicaid program, they then said, oh no, you can't do a Miller Trust anymore. We have another program. We have another program that'll pay for home care. But the problem is, as I just said, a lot of people were left out. So if I had income that was $2,200 a month, I couldn't stay home and get Medicaid benefits. I had to go to a nursing home. And that was pretty sad. So for years and years, the state of New Jersey told us we're going to get rid of the income cap. And believe it or not, in 2011, they were given permission from the federal government to get rid of their income cap. And every year, elder law attorneys, we have a conference. We call it a retreat. And in 2011, someone from the state of New Jersey came to our conference and told us, guess what? We're going to get rid of the income cap. And we were all excited. We were like, oh, that's fantastic. That's so good because it's really going to help our clients. Some of us were a little skeptical about it because we've been working with the state for quite a while. But we took them at their word. So then 2012 comes around, and we're in Morristown at the headquarters, and a person from the state of New Jersey comes, and they say, guess what? We're going to get rid of the income cap. Well, you know, maybe there were 100 people in that audience, and usually the older attorneys, we sit in back, and none of us believe that. And the people in the middle, maybe some of them were skeptical then and kind of believed it. And the people in front who were young and, you know, wanted to hear better, they actually believed that, all right? Well, 2013 comes around, and we're down in Long Branch, beautiful hotel on the beach in April. And someone from the state comes and says, guess what? We're going to get rid of the income cap. Well, at that point, no one believed him. No one believed him. And there was a lot of chatter. That's when everyone got up and decided it's time for another cup of coffee, another croissant. Okay? So finally, 2014 comes around, and the state says, we are getting rid of the income cap. And we finally figured it out, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to 1992. We're going to go back to using these Miller trusts. There's income-only trusts. Ladies, there's a seat here. There's a seat there with this gentleman. You can sit here, but I may pick upon you. We're going to go back to using these income trusts, these qualified income trusts, these Miller trusts. And we were all happy. We were all very happy. Now, why? We're sitting here in an assisted living facility today. Assisted living is considered home care under Medicaid program, which means that prior to the beginning of this year, when the law was actually put in place, if my income exceeded $2,199, I couldn't stay here when I ran out of money. I couldn't get Medicaid to pay for my care, but now I can, and I can by using this Miller Trust, this qualified income trust. Now, all of you today have an outline. The outline, which I tend usually not to follow very closely, I am going to follow today. And in this outline, you have some important materials. You have the outline, obviously what we're going to talk about. You have a copy of the trust that the state of New Jersey has put online. You can get this yourself. You have a list of frequently asked questions and answers. And most importantly, you have a copy of a memorandum that the state has sent to all the banks in New Jersey about opening these trust accounts. All of these things are going to be vitally important. In fact, I kind of consider this your ammunition in establishing the Miller Trust. So let's get into the boring, nitty-gritty detail, which I'll try and, bring some flavor to. But unfortunately, this is law. Law, the words actually mean everything in law, and usually any given insignificant word has about 3 or 4 pages of interpretation below it. So in my outline, I tried to hit the big, significant words. So let's start at the beginning. And I'm on the first page of the outline, the first paragraph. Any person, oh, you having a problem, or?
Yes.
You want to switch, is it your copy?
Tell me where it is.
You're at the first, right there, yeah.
Thanks.
We finally figured out in my office how to do double-sided pages. So some of you have one-sided pages, some of you have double-sided pages. But we're at the beginning of the outline that has Roman numeral 1. You are there.
Thank you.
Any person who is applying for Medicaid benefits to pay for care in a home, nursing home, or assisted living facility with monthly fixed income over $2,199 will need a qualified income trust in order to qualify for Medicaid. So, number one, what does person mean? Person means the person applying for Medicaid. If I am married and my wife is applying for Medicaid, my income does not count toward her income. So her income has to be below $2,199. My income can be above $2,199. What does applying mean? Applying means that you have assets below the Medicaid resource level. And if your income is above $2,199 a month, that's $4,000. I have assets less than $4,000. Number two, I'm medically eligible for Medicaid. We said something about that before. I prepare a Medicaid application and have it submitted on my behalf. And the month before I apply for Medicaid, I must establish my Miller Trust, my qualified income trust. We learned from the state of New Jersey unequivocally the other day that this trust must be established in place the month before I apply for Medicaid, because then in the first month, and we're going to find out how it actually works, in the first month it's ready and up and running and ready to do what you need to do with the trust. Now, applying doesn't necessarily mean eligible for Medicaid benefits. Oftentimes people make gifts, and these gifts make them ineligible for Medicaid benefits, and how that works is an entirely separate lecture, and I'm sure I'll be asked back by the Chelsea to do the lecture. It better be on Vanilla Muffin Day, okay? If you do it on Steak Day, I'll bring the family, okay? Yeah, steak and red wine. So what does that mean? It means oftentimes people are going to apply for Medicaid benefits. They've made gifts. The gifts make them ineligible for Medicaid benefits for a period of time. But if you want your ineligibility period to start to click off, the time you have to wait, you need your qualified income trust. If you don't have it in place, the penalty will not start to run. I know I've said a lot there, but the bottom line is that is a whole separate lecture. The point here is, though, if you or one of your relatives is applying for Medicaid and you made some large gifts, literally anything over $500, within the 5 years prior to applying for Medicaid, then you're going to need your qualified income trust just to get your penalty for Medicaid running. What does fixed monthly income mean? It's a lot broader than what you and I think. Typically, fixed monthly income is pension and Social Security. It can also mean VA benefits, aid and attendance benefits for the spouse of a veteran. It can mean a lot of other things too. So for instance, I have a long-term care insurance policy, and I am here, and my policy is paying me $5,000 a month. Medicaid treats that as income. IRS may not, but Medicaid does. Another issue, I have an annuity, and we often use certain very specific types of annuities to help people establish eligibility for Medicaid, and I do that all the time. I have an annuity, and the annuity is paying me a monthly payment. Medicaid treats that as income, even though, once again, the IRS may not. So income is a far broader concept than what we all traditionally think it is. And there's another rule here. We in New Jersey have very tightly managed Medicaid programs, and I'm saying that nicely because we're taping today, okay? So if you have any doubt something you or one of your relatives is receiving as income, treat it as income and determine, based on that, how much money your relative has coming in a month. What other things are considered income? We all have Social Security, or at least a lot of people do, and there's a premium that you pay for your hospital section of Social Security, and there's a premium you pay for your pharmaceuticals. Those count toward the income cap of $2,199. So if I get $2,000 of Social Security, but between my Medicare Part D and my Part B premium, that's another $250, yeah, I am over the income cap. Pension. A lot of people have withholding from their pensions. They have federal income tax withheld. A lot of people have health insurance benefits withdrawn from their pensions. All those count as income. So the question is, am I over $2,199 a month? You got to look carefully and don't discount those things that are withdrawn from the pension and those items that are withdrawn from Social Security prior to receiving it, because they all go into the consideration of whether or not you're over $2,199 or not. Where did the government get the $2,199? I'm not going to be like a teacher today. I've already said it, but I'll say it again. It is 300 times the SSI rate. Right now, the minimum that someone can receive if they're eligible for Social Security income benefits is $733 a month. 3 times that is $2,199, and that's what the income cap is. Okay, we're now on number 2. How is a QIT, Qualified Income Trust, Miller Trust, established? In order to establish a QIT, a person applying for Medicaid benefits establishes a QIT trust document, appoints a trustee, and establishes a bank account. So, a person. Who is the person? Well, the person could be me if I need the QIT. It can be my trustee if I have an existing trust. It can be my guardian. It can be my conservator. It can be my power of attorney. And here the state of New Jersey was a little permissive. You know, typically with a power of attorney, if I wanted to establish a trust for you using a power of attorney, the power of attorney has to say, I give you the right to establish a trust for me. The state of New Jersey said, you know, you don't have to have that right in your power of attorney. Anyone with health care powers has the right to establish a QIT, a Miller Trust, for their principal. When a person makes a power of attorney, they're the principal. The person they give the power of attorney to is the agent. And what the state of New Jersey says is that anyone with a health care power of attorney can establish a QIT for their principal. Trust document. You have a copy of the trust document here. The state of New Jersey was kind enough to put their trust document online. And if you use this trust, which you all now have a copy of, you know you're using the right form. You cannot go afoul of this QIT, the Miller Trust rules, if you use this trust document. Number 3, a trustee. What's a trustee? Well, if I'm setting up a QIT, if I'm the one who needs the benefit, I can't be the trustee. I need someone else. I don't need a bank to be the trustee. I need someone who is going to be able to follow through on what needs to be done on a monthly basis. It can be my friend, it can be my child, it can be my spouse, it doesn't matter. It can be anyone other than myself if I'm setting up the QIT. Bank account. Now we get into the good one. The state of New Jersey has very, very strict rules on the QIT. Number 1, when I go to that bank and I open up a bank account for the QIT, I can only put in $20. $20, that's it. No more, you can't put less. If you put, and you're going to laugh at this, if you put $20.01, your QIT will not be approved. Will not be approved. $20, no greater. Now, banks don't like that. You know, they don't want to open up an account for $20. They have minimum balance rules and they have fees, and they're told in this memo that you got to kind of ignore that and change your procedure.